Welcome back to Scatters. We are at the community garden and we're going to be harvesting today. I also want to check the weed condition. We'll just start with one, I think. We're going to look at the weed situation too, but I know that we have some squash that we can start working on now, and we've actually had a huge donation from a bunch of we've had a huge donation brought to us yesterday, so we are going to be donating. We're going to be bringing donations likely today and be dropping them off at the community center. We're going to move along here and see what we've got, and then we are going to sort it all out and decide where we're taking it. So let's look through this. So I'm gonna give you a before shot right here. And now you can see we can't walk in this. Right here we can walk. There's this little path right here, but we can't walk in this. Here's a good idea of what we're looking at. It's a nice size. It's a nice size so far. That's a butternut. That one's not ready, obviously. But basically, we're just gonna hunt through all of this and see what we can find. Right now it looks like it's a lot more plant than it is fruit. But, oh, watch out. Mama's gonna fall over. But this to me looks like this is all butternut, which we're not gonna be harvesting any of that anytime soon. But what I am looking for is where we can find, there's acorn squash. So here you can see there's damaged leaves. Those damaged leaves come from the hail damage. And then if I zoom in a little bit, then you can see right there, that again, that's the hail damage that we had. But like I had said, we have nothing to worry about. These plants were well established. Like, I think you're kind of getting the idea. This is just a field of leaves. So yeah, what I'm looking for right now is the acorn squash. Oh boy, how do I get through here? Whatever that is not ready yet. Okay, so there's a plant. I can't figure out how to walk through here. So here we have a nice big guy. Oh dear. Mom just said, you know you have good soil when millet grows in it. Who knew? I didn't know that. Thank you, Mom.
You're very welcome.
Is that one of those wives' tales that actually means nothing?
Yeah, you can leave that. Figure that out
You
for
can
yourself.
figure that out for yourselves, I know. So, we did some looking. Look at this field, first of all. This is crazy.
Amazing.
This field is just lush and green. It's all full of winter squash. We have one zucchini plant in there. She snuck her way in. But, so I was getting really overwhelmed and really confused about plants because I was seeing plants that look like acorn squash, but they were yellow. I'm like, what is a yellow acorn squash? I've never seen something like that in my life. the butternut squash looked normal. The zucchini looked normal. The pumpkins I thought looked normal. They do look normal. We just have one like really big one that surprised me. So we were looking through, and I'm gonna show you what we found. So we found yellow squash. So this would just typically, we're calling it winter squash. Size wise, like they're about the size of my hand. And in my overwhelm, I actually called, I FaceTimed with Christelle. She has been helping here quite a bit, and she is the daughter to the owners of Falk Nurseries. So I'm like, what did we plant? What did we plant here? I have no clue what I'm looking at. So she helped me out, and she did some research. I think she Googled it out right away. And she helped me figure out what we're looking at. So we're just gonna call it winter squash. There has been some word out there in Google where people had the same thing. It's like, what is this? Because acorn squash should actually be green. It should not be yellow. So people were all confused. What am I growing here? I thought it was acorn squash. Well, we're just gonna call it winter squash. So these two plants here, they're completely normal. Here, I'll show you. So that's a normal acorn squash. And then the plant right beside it, we're going right here. These are the ones that have the yellow on it. And so we have 1, 2, 3 plants that we can tell are these hybrid, some kind of winter squash. Shaped like acorn, but yellow like a summer squash. So what Christelle learned was we're gonna treat it like a winter squash, so we're gonna wait for it actually to get hard, where right now it's not. I poked my nail into it, and this is something that you can do for future reference for yourself. All you do is you just go ahead and you put your nail in there, and if it leaves a mark, so you can see it left a mark right there, that is not ready to harvest. You don't want to be scarring it up. It's supposed to be a hard shell. That's what winter squash is good for. It lasts a lot longer. So these are not ripe enough to pick. These are gonna stay on the vine a lot longer. So we're gonna come back and we're gonna check on that. So that's kind of what we're dealing with here. The pumpkins are looking great. I can show you what they're looking like. They are a little small, but then we surprise ourselves with a few larger ones. But here we have one. That one's quite puny. And then we move along. This one, it's a little bit bigger, but this would be a typical pumpkin that we would be expecting. And so this whole area along here is most definitely pumpkin. We have a couple of pumpkin plants kind of in that area. And then we move on. This is all pumpkin. Here's a nice one. Has interesting coloring, but this one's, this one's nice and large. You can see that. So that's a bigger one. And then we move on, and now we're kind of getting more into like the butternut squash, like that. So of course those aren't ready yet either. And then right over there, right there is a zucchini plant. She just made it in here. So that's where we're at with this garden here. This would be all the squash and the pumpkins. Then we have the potatoes. Potatoes are now blooming. We have had one of our Scatters crew come out here probably 2 to 3 times throughout a week, and she has been picking off potato bugs. And honestly, so this is a potato bug. If you want to see what a potato bug looks like, honestly, all you're doing is you're taking these guys, you're picking them up, squashing them, And that's how you can keep everything organic. You're not using chemicals or anything like that. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got a bunch of rows. I'm not going to count them all out because I just don't want to count. But this is all potatoes here. The field of potatoes is almost as large as the squash field. And we were here a while back and Mom and I were saying we're going to need a truck when we start harvesting potatoes, and who knows, we might need another truck. But we're definitely going to get a truckload of potatoes off of this field here. That's really, really exciting. And something that's very exciting to me is the onions. So we don't have a ton of onions, but when you're looking at what's happening, like this is a really nice sized onion. This is a really puny guy. But then we have some really large ones. Here you can see this one's bulbed up really nice already. So there is hope for the onions. They're doing really, really well. So Mama's itching. And not because she's been working in tomatoes, because she hasn't been working in tomatoes.
Gotcha.
It's something that we do look for in a potato plant is when you're starting to see that the leaves are drying off, stuff like this. And we're seeing a little bit of it. So harvest is coming pretty soon. But here's the thing. Mama wants to dig one up and see what we find. And it's not going to hurt because we're actually going to be doing a delivery today or tomorrow. And so we could bring these potatoes along with it. It's not like they would go to waste. And we could store them because potatoes store for quite some time. We could just store them until we are doing a delivery. So why not? Let's dig one up and let's see what we find in there. It gives us a really good idea of what we're working with all of our potatoes on this field. So here we go. You're coming with us. Well, there's a few. We've got 1, 2, 3. Whoop, there's a little guy.
Oh, you're good too.
4. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it's always good to dig around and see if there's anything else. Look at that. Mama just goes in with bare hands. I'm like, no, I don't want to wreck my nails. That's Mom's summer manicure.
Gardening manicure.
She's got it.
Gardeners.
Doesn't seem like there's anything else. So if we're looking at the sizes aren't terrible.
No, they're nice.
This is a good size. There's just not a lot on them.
No, not yet.
Not yet. And if we looked at it, you did throw it away.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So if we look at it, you can see there are a couple potatoes on here that could have had a little bit more growth, but not too many more. We have 1, we have 2, 3. So according to this, if we would have let it grow, we probably would have had an extra 4 or 5 potatoes on there. They would have been smaller. Yeah, so we would have had probably about 10 to 12. So if we would wait another couple weeks, like I would say 2-3 weeks from now. But for now, this is a garden. This is where we're at. We're happy with the growth. Very, very happy with the growth. And we're just going to wait it out a little bit longer. And we'll be able to get quite a bit out of this land. So it's very exciting.